Does it get easier, even though the situations may not get easier?
So
Curious.
let's take that playground lesson of, don't talk about how you're different, talk about how you're similar. So you saw that in the corporate world where we kind of had one scenario of it. You saw it in the governor's office where, we had to show people that we were all South Carolinians, not what divided us. Now let's, take it to the UN situation. You're dealing with a bunch of countries that hate us, right? Every day I felt like I was putting on body armor. I knew there'd be a fight that day. I just didn't know which country we were going to be fighting. But without realizing it, that same playground lesson plays in again. You've got North Korea testing ballistic missiles every other weekend. We had to figure out a way to get it to stop. The only way to do that was through China, which was a tough go. I had to convince the Security Council, all these countries, to go along with sanctions on North Korea because we knew that the money that was coming into North Korea wasn't going to feed its people. It was going to feed its nuclear program. So I told the Security Council, look, let me and China work this out and we'll come back to you. And they were happy to do it because they didn't want to deal with it. And they just wanted the U.S. and China to deal with it. In dealing with China, I needed to know what they were afraid of. If the best way to take on a challenge is you have to understand what your opponent's fears are. So I knew China was afraid of two things. They were afraid of war on the peninsula, and they were afraid that if Kim Jong-un of North Korea fell, that all those North Koreans would come into China, and they didn't want that. So if I knew that was their fears, the next thing I said was, look, you need to know the U.S. does not want war. That is the last thing we want. This is what we're doing in the name of peace. And the second thing is you need to know that by us putting these sanctions on, it is sending a message, but we in no way want regime change. We're not looking to replace Kim. We're not looking to bring him down. We're just looking to get him to stop. And that's when the negotiations started. Then they let their guard down. And then we passed the toughest set of sanctions that we had seen on a country in a generation.